Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patience. In today's video, we'll be making this beautiful off-shoulder shirred maxi gown with a front slit and a balloon sleeve. Before we get started, kindly click the subscribe button. If you have done that, let's get into it. I'll be using this Ankara print for this tutorial. It is 6 yards. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. I'm cutting out the front and the back pieces. These are the folded edges and these are the opened edges. So I will mark my starting line. From this starting line, I'll be marking 1 inch for my elastic casing. So this is an off-shoulder dress. I'll be taking out 5 inches for my off-shoulder. So I'll place the 5 inches on the 1 inch as you can see and mark my armhole measurement, which is 8 inches. And I'll mark my shoulder to half length, which is 16 inches. I'll be adding half inch for sewing allowance, that's 16.5 inches. I'll go ahead and extend the lines. I'm going to be shirring this fabric, so I'm going to mark ×2 of my waist circumference. My waist circumference is 36 inches. I'll times that by 2, that is 72 inches, and I'll mark quarter of that measurement, that is 18 inches. So I can say quarter of my waist circumference, that's 9 inches, and 9 times 2, that is 18 inches. Plus half inch for sewing allowance, that's 18.5 inches. So now I'll be marking my across chest measurement or chest width measurement, which is 12 inches. Since my fabric is folded into 2, I'll be marking 6 inches. But since I'll be sharing this fabric, I'll be marking ×2 of the 6 inches, that's 12 inches. So I'm marking the 12 inches this way and I'll create the arm side as you can see me do and cut it out. So this part of the arm side I cut out, I'll keep it. I'll be using it to cut out the sleeve. This is what we have. These are the front and the back pieces. I'm going to keep the back piece aside and I'll be starting with the front piece. This is the wrong side of the fabric and this is the right side. So I'll be shirring on the right side of the fabric. I'll go ahead and mark the 1 inch for the elastic casing I marked earlier. And I'll also mark half inch on the hem for joining allowance. I'll be marking some guidelines for the shirring. So starting from this 1 inch here, I'll be marking about 1 to 26 centimeter from the 1 inch to this half inch, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 centimeter to 26 centimeter. And I'll extend the lines all through. I've done that. I've extended all the lines as you can see. So the first thing I'm going to do is to hem the 1 inch for the elastic casing. After doing that, I'll be sewing on the guidelines using my elastic thread. So I've gone ahead to wind the elastic thread on the bobbin this way, as you can see. Make sure you're not pulling the thread, okay? And I've gone ahead to hem the 1 inch for the elastic casing, as you can see. Now I am going to be sewing on the guidelines using my elastic thread. After shirring, this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to press it down to keep it in place. Okay, so I have about 14 inches here after shirring. So you can use your waist circumference ×2 or you can use your bust circumference ×2. So now I'll be attaching an elastic band on the 1 inch for elastic casing. So this is 8 inches for the elastic band. Using a safety pin, I am going to pass it through, as you can see me do. I'll go ahead and sew on 1/2 inch on this part of the elastic band to keep it in place. I've done that. I've also done the same thing on the back piece. Now I'll be cutting out the first layer of the lower part of the dress. Half of my waist circumference is 18 inches. I'll times this 18 inches by 3 for my gathers. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut it out. This is 54 inches and the length is 25 inches, but this is 26 inches plus 1/2 inch on both sides for upper and the lower part for joining allowance. Okay, so this front piece is going to have a slit by the side, so I am going to divide this 54 inches into 3, that is 18 inches. So I'm marking out the first 18 inches and I'll cut it out. I'll place the right sides this way and I will sew down to where I want the slit to stop. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark that out. This is the 1/2 inch to join the upper part, so I'll mark where I want the slit to stop. Okay, let's say it's 15 inches. So I am going to sew on 1 inch down to this point. I've done that. This is how it is on the wrong side. So after joining the second layer, I am going to double fold it and make a top stitch for the slit. Now I'll use the longest stitch on my sewing machine to make double gather stitch on 1/2 inch for my gathers, and I'll ensure it is my waist circumference plus 3 inches for ease. Okay, so these are the back pieces. I've gone ahead to also cut out the lower parts, and it is the same 26 inches length and times 3 inches width. That's my waist, half of my waist circumference times 3 inches width. I'll also make gathers. So this is the front piece. I've made my gathers and it is half of my waist circumference, like I said, plus extra 3 inches for ease and 1 inch for side seam, as you can see. I'll be joining the upper and the lower part of the front piece. So on the upper part, this is 14 inches. I'll divide this 14 inches into 3 for my slit placement. That is 4.6 inches. I'll go ahead and mark that, as you can see me do. So I'll place this 4.6 inches on this slit area. Okay, I'll align it this way, placing the right sides together. I'll pin it down. So I am going to sew by 1/2 inch. I am going to extend this upper part to fit in the lower part and sew by 1/2 inch. I'll do the same thing on the other side. This is the back piece. I've made my gathers and it is half of my waist circumference plus 3 inches for ease. Now I'll be joining the front and the back piece. I'll align the midpoints. Okay, so when I'm joining by 1/2 inch, I'll extend the upper part to fit in the lower part. I've done that and this is how it came out. And I've also pressed it down to keep it in place. So this is the slit area, as you can see on the front piece. And this is the back piece. I've done the same thing. The next thing I am going to do is to join the front and the back pieces. I'll place the right sides this way, align the waist area and sew by 1/2 inch. I've done that. To cut out the second layer, I am going to measure what I have here on the hem. And I'll times that by 3 inches to cut out the second layer. I've done that. I've gone ahead to cut out the second layer, and the length is 15 inches. This is 15.5 inches. I'll be using 1/2 inch to join the upper part. I actually cut out 16.5 inches. I've used 1 inch to hem. Now I am going to make gathers round. I've done that and I ensure it is up to what I measured. Now I am going to attach it to the dress. I'll place the right sides this way and align the edge of the second layer and the slit area of the first layer. As you can see, I am going to sew round by 1/2 inch to the second slit. I've done that. So this is the front and this is the slit area. What I'm going to do is to double fold and make a top stitch from one end to the other end. Okay, so that is it. Now I am going to be cutting out the sleeve. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. I'm cutting out both sleeves. Okay, so these are the folded edges. Now I am going to mark 1 inch for my elastic casing on the upper part and also on the lower part. So what I have here is 13 inches. Okay, that's for the sleeve length. In total it is 15 inches and I'm using 15 inches for my sleeve width. I'll be taking out 1/2 inch on the hem of the sleeve and connect it this way and cut it out. So I'll go ahead and place this piece of fabric I cut out from the bodice. I'll align it this way on the opened edge and I'll cut it out for the sleeve opening. This is what it looks like. Okay, I'll go ahead and join by 1/2 inch. I'll join the side seam by 1/2 inch. After joining by 1/2 inch, I'll hem the sleeve and I'll also hem the top part for the elastic casing. I've done that. So I left 1 inch opening here on the hem of the sleeve to pass my elastic band. I'm using 8 inches width of elastic and a safety pin, so I'm going to pass it through this way as you can see me do. I will sew on both sides by 1/2 inch to keep the elastic band in place. Also on the hem of the sleeve, I'll pass my elastic band through and I'll join by 1/2 inch. I've done that. I've joined by 1/2 inch and I've also closed back the 1 inch opening. Now I'll be attaching the sleeve to the dress. So I'll align the side seam. I'll extend the bodice to fit in the sleeve and sew by 1/2 inch. I've done that. I've attached the sleeve. So this is how beautiful it came out. So the total gown length is 61 inches. 5 inches for the off shoulder, 16 inches for my shoulder to half length, 25 inches for the first layer and 15 inches for the second layer. We have come to the end of this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Kindly give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.